must report tonight on our Hannity Watch on the radical socialist 2020 Democrats. It's been a very revealing week for some of the far-left sycophants trying to become president. We start with the current mayor of South Bend, Indiana. Yes, that guy, Mayor Pete. Oh, Peter Buttigieg is his name, who said that the Electoral College is just one big Republican manipulation of the system. Okay, watch this.
If we realized that this would be a fairer place if everyone's vote counted the same, and if the way we picked our president was to tally up all the votes and give it to the person who got the most votes, then now is a moment to make that change. Most Americans don't want this. Most Americans don't want the conservative agenda that we're now seeing, the extreme agenda that we're seeing in Washington. In fact, it is precisely for that reason that they have to interfere with democracy with things like voter suppression or clinging on an electoral college that overrules the will of the American people. It is precisely because the American people, by and large, don't want what they're selling, that they are relying on manipulations of our political structure in order to keep their agenda in play.
All right, let me educate Mayor Buttigieg for a moment. If he wants the good people of his home state of Indiana to have a voice in the presidential election, I like the people from Indiana, he should probably rethink what is his unconstitutional stance on the Electoral College, because without our current system, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and California, they would decide every national contest. His state of Indiana, and for that matter, New Hampshire, Iowa, South Carolina, all those red states down south, they would be totally ignored. It wouldn't matter. Is that what the good mayor wants? Now, sadly, Mayor Pete is not the only Democrat trampling on the U.S. Constitution. California Congressman Eric Swalwell, well, he's actually running on an anti-Second Amendment agenda. Look at this. Now, first he suggested the federal government could easily disarm Americans because it has nukes. Okay? But on Sunday, he took it down a notch and said that he just supports jailing Americans who don't comply with his plan to seize guns that he classifies as dangerous. Here comes the government. Get ready. Take a look.
Criminal prosecution for keeping assault weapons. What's the punishment for people who don't hand in their guns? Do they go to jail?
Well, Jake, they would. The reason I have proposed this is because these weapons are so devastating. I've seen this as a prosecutor in the cases that I've prosecuted. We've seen these in the school shootings from Sandy Hook to Parkland, and I was just at Parkland earlier this week doing a town hall there. But it's not just the violence that they've caused. It's the fear, the immeasurable fear that our children live in because they are still on our streets. I want to get rid of that fear. I want to do what Australia did and New Zealand just recently did. I think this issue just needs some bold leadership to do it.
I want to get rid of the fear of you not understanding the Constitution or wanting to stack the courts, or Bernie Sanders last night on this network actually suggesting, oh, yeah, a woman could have an abortion up to the last minute, like during birth. Or, as the Virginia governor said, first we'll deliver the baby, make sure the baby's comfortable, and then mom gets to decide if the baby gets resuscitative help if needed. Here now, Fox News contributor Andy McCarthy, the Wall Street Journal's Kimberly Strassel, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter, all three more deserving than the Washington Post and New York Times for their hoax Pulitzer. We'll call it the hoax Pulitzer. Andy, let me start with you. You have a two-page article out today that was fascinating. You talk about the spying, but on top of the spying, we had the FISA abuse. On top of the FISA abuse, we also had a rigged investigation into Hillary because she did commit real crimes.
Yeah, Sean, I think, you know, as Attorney General Barr put it last week, the question of spying should not be a question anymore. There's no question, there should be no dispute that surveillance happened, whatever you want to call it. The issue is, was it properly predicated? And I think what we're seeing now is there seems to have been an insufficient predicate. And all I can say is, from my own perspective, if I had authorized an investigation of the president, if I had used the government's counterintelligence powers in order to investigate the campaign of the opposition party, and people were calling me out about whether I had a good reason for it, I wouldn't be able to wait to tell you what it was. So I think it's very telling that, you know, rather than invite an inquiry into what caused this investigation to take place in the first place, what they're doing is attacking the people who simply want answers to simple questions. How did this get originated? What was the reason for it?
Great questions. Sarah, let me go to your breaking news tonight, and I now have a copy of the letter of which you refer, and that is Elijah Cummings got a letter from Congressman Jim Jordan as he, Maxine Waters, and Cowardly Schiff, Adam Schiff, apparently were sending out secret memorandum of understanding about how to get Trump the next level. So so even though Thursday ends collusion, ends obstruction, in all reality and truth, and begins everything we've talked about for 2 years, now they want to go to the next conspiracy theory. Why apologize for the old one?
Well, it's really incredible, Sean. I mean, Congressman Jordan, who's the ranking member on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, actually discovered this within recent days, that Adam Schiff, as well, Maxine Waters, and Elijah Cummings, and Elijah Cummings, who's the chairman of the committee, basically withheld this from the ranking member, and that's against the committee rules. So they basically signed these memorandums of understanding in secrecy. So it's kind of like a pact between all of them to basically go after and target President Trump. One of the things that they wanted was Mazar USA LLP, which was Trump's former accounting firm while he was in the private sector. And they want all the documentation, all financial records going back to 2009. I mean, this is really incredible. And they're going to have a huge fight on their hands because, once again, the investigation, Robert Mueller's investigation, has been wrapped up. They found no conspiracy, no collusion with Russia. We have seen it on the other side. And as far as obstruction, there were no obstruction charges whatsoever. So now they're looking for something else. They're digging deeper, but they have a huge fight on their hands. I know Congressman Jordan, Congressman Meadows, and others are very angry about this, and I don't think they're going to get any of that documentation anytime soon.
Kimberly, after